Hello. Within the entire Law of Success book, these are the most central word is make. That's because we're looking at centrality betweenness, and so this is one of the most central words within the entire book. And it's connected to money, and it's connected to know, and know is connected to law. And as we see, make is connected to a lot of different things, as well as man. Man is not as central as make, though, although it is mentioned more frequently. That's why this is bigger here. And so the word man is mentioned more frequently. We have a lesson is another frequently central word. So what this means in the centrality betweenness is that within a sentence we might have something that says the lesson we are concerned with here is the lesson we are trying to, let's see, well, I'll just use a good example, so I'll figure out what lesson is connected to course. So the sentence would probably read something like, this lesson is built for a reason to help you understand people. Something like that. I mean, I don't know if that's actually a sentence in there, but this lesson is built for the reason to help you understand people. So we have lesson being connected to understand, reason, people, meaning lesson was very central to that sentence, within that sentence. And so it's frequently connected with those words there. Lesson connected with purpose, lesson connected with learn, lesson connected with law, and so on, as we look at these different diagrams here. I'm going to get in the habit of saving these so that you can view these images whenever you want. Money, the fact that this is white means it's not a centrally connected word with these other things. Now I'm going to move, now that we've examined it from a centrality betweenness standpoint, let's look at degree. And I need to reference some textbooks to deeply understand these, and so I'm not going to really dive into this one that much for now until I read those textbooks. Here we have the communities. So now within this community, it's how are these words connected to one another between certain sentences and within sentences and so forth. So we have related colors mean related words that are connected one to another. So here we have the man, and man is connected to say, salesman, and make is connected to know, and to a lesser extent connected to money. Know is connected to wants. That means it's important to know what one wants, and that goes along with the whole definite chief aim throughout this book. And we have the law. I mean, this is a law of success course. Obviously, we're going to be following certain laws, which means we're following certain principles to achieve the success that we want to achieve. Okay, notice that law is not connected to power. There is no edge connecting these two, but power is connected to mind, and definite, and principle. So these principles, and the law is connected to principle, which is connected to power. So these principles that we're following here will help increase our power. Notice that law is also a separate word from principle, because we've boiled down 15 distinct laws to follow here that coincide with different principles. That's why these two are connected here. So I'm just going to read. So we have time, come time, man, woman, man, say, salesman, make, know, want, make, use, principle, law, principle, mind, develop, principle, definite, okay, principle, suggestion, important, and then law, understand, so understanding the laws, and then facts, important, facts, laws, facts, make, fact, man, fact, power, mind, develop, definite, use. Use the principles, and then make use. And then so we see this edge here connected to other things here. I'll move on to these. So use imagination just. So obviously you use our imagination justly. Use it correctly. Use it rightly. And then I don't know if that's exactly what was being interpreted, but it can be interpreted that way. That's a good way to look at it. Over here we have another community. Money, pay, service, work, and day. So those are all kind of how we can connect the service that we give unto others. In this Law of Success book, Napoleon Hill connects these things with money and pay. You know, nowadays, I mean, we're moving more towards service, and we're not necessarily looking at it just in terms of money or pay. We're even looking at service in terms of free service and free work, with a lot of Creative Commons things. In other words, this class in particular and this education tries to make use of Creative Commons materials and educations in order to provide classes for free. So this is, you know, work that's being done for free, which is different from looking at work in terms of money. And if we look at terms of intrinsic models, when we work for intrinsic rewards, studies have shown that people are more apt to be motivated with intrinsic motivation rather than extrinsic motivation. And we can look at, that gives me an idea to build a course based on new methods of work, which would utilize Creative Commons materials and GNU, GPL licenses, those kinds of things, to help motivate people to work on what they want to work on and be passionate about what they're doing and utilize those intrinsic motivational factors to the fullest. So that just kind of a thought there. I actually kind of want to got a notebook here. The next thing is, if we look over here at the red community, we have read, course, success, business. Success, ironically, and maybe not so much so, is linked to failure. And the reason I say not so ironic is because failure can lead to success. And the business here, year, kind of interesting words that are connected to each other. Okay, this is kind of a unique community here. Place, world, great, organize. So we can organize the world. World organized in a certain way. Creating certain places, creating a great world. That's cool. This pink community, we have reason, people, and bring. Okay. Fear and form. That's kind of an interesting community, isn't it? Looking at this green one here, we have plan, idea, work, and create. So while just looking at these words here, and also after having read the textbook and studied a lot of the different stuff, that kind of helps me add meaning to this network map here that we're looking at. And I had, just looking at this network map, I had an idea to build a class that discussed intrinsic motivational factors and then how we can achieve those motivational factors within a society that likes to have accounting rules. So, you know, money, if we look at it economically, if we look at it conceptually related to how much people are creating and how much people are helping society, in certain ways, you know, money can be sometimes a good way of counting that. But a lot of times, you know, also, money has, you know, people will want to try and take advantage of others, or, you know, different things in order to increase the amount of money they have to try and, you know, and it all gets really kind of confusing if you try and place an exact dollar amount in relation to others, those kinds of things, and it can become corrupted. All kinds of things can happen with that. If there was an accounting system which existed in terms of intrinsic motivation, you know, it really is getting into different kinds of accounting systems. And I think there is a good way to blend the best of both worlds, which is what that course is all about. So that comes up with coming up with a plan for what do I really want to talk about, and then of course I have to work at it. So if I just come up with this idea, but if I don't put any plan or work into it, then, and notice how it's idea and then plan and then work. So we have the idea and creating ideas, these are all kind of connected to each other because we're creating plans and creating ideas, which is connected to the mind because the mind creates these ideas and these plans. So we have this idea, which is, I have this idea for building a class. So I need to plan it out. And I need to plan what kind of lectures I want to have, what kind of resources, and then I need to go into the work, and then we can have another little, just imagine a little bubble right here called time, where I need to put the time into working and building out these different plans. Similarly, whatever you want to plan out, you'll have to put in the work, which also requires time there to work on those things. So time, work, and plan are also related. Interestingly, you know, time is related to mind, make, man. And time is really related to all of these things. But it's not really discussed because it's rather obvious, isn't it, how time is needed to perform all of these different things. And this isn't really a time management book either. It's law of success book. And time management is kind of a whole nother discipline in and of itself, how to accomplish all of this as fast as possible. And not just as fast as possible, because fast can be sloppy, but fast and with quality. So efficient, efficacy, everything else that's related to that. Now over here in this community we have thought, nature, human, think, action, and habit. And developed, but that's in kind of a separate community, but we can see that connection there between developed habits. So we have here thinking, different thoughts, nature, looking at the nature of the world, the nature of reality, the nature of humans, human actions, the actions that we make create habits. Isn't that true? Which are influenced by our thoughts, which is influenced by what we think. And that's one of those laws of success there. Okay, over here, imagination. Now, I like this here, is that imagination is connected to create. I mean, they're different communities, but I want to look at this. It made me realize that this connection was here, albeit a loose one, but the connection is still there, that we have. You don't need to look into the darkness. So, that's just my little pop-up reminder thing. So, here we have imagination being connected to creating things, and what you imagine that was another one of those laws, right? The imagination law. What you imagine to be, what you want to create. What was that quote? Uh, we have over here, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. So that's kind of that imagination thing. And it takes all of this. It takes work. It takes planning. It takes a definite plan, a definite chief aim to do that, to realize what you want to create and to actualize those different things that you want to create. Okay, I don't think I've explored the last community I think I have yet to explore is Ask and Tell. I'm not really going to get into that one, but this last one here is the yellow one. Aim, purpose, life, effort, lesson, learn, student, follow. So we have students learning lessons, so we're following because there's a teacher that we're following, right? That built the framework for how all of this is connected to everything. So we're learning these lessons, and we're going to put forth effort into it with purpose to create. So as we follow this plan here, and as we learn these lessons, as we put forth the effort, then we have a purpose. We can come up with a purpose which is integrated into our life, which is, and you see life is connected to mind here, which is integrated with our life. Then we can have a definite aim. Okay? And so that's how that integrates into everything else there. So I think it was helpful to study this network map as always, this co-occurrence of words, to see how all of this connects with everything. Okay. I will end this lecture here, and I hope you've seen how we can connect these different words together to get a conceptual understanding of how all of these principles and concepts are related to one another. I will see you in the next lecture.